It's Wednesday, March 6, 2019, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Carol Williams. A motorcyclist is now dead following an accident with a route taxi in Haywood, St. Peter last night. His death came less than 24 hours after a 19-year-old Eagle Hall resident was killed in a collision involving a car and a wrecker truck.
It involved a motorcyclist and a road taxi. Information reaching us is the road taxi was traveling in a northerly direction and became involved in a collision head-on with a motorcyclist. Sadly, the motorcyclist died at the scene. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver of the road taxi, who was alone at the time, he has minor injuries and he's opted to seek private medical attention. What we can say is that the motorcycle was completely destroyed because it burst into flames on impact, and the road taxi has extensive damages to the front tow section.
Government will have to find $5 million more to complete the school meals facility in 6 Road St. Philip. The center is 5 years overdue and had an initial cost of $19.9 million. However, Acting Director of the Education Technical Management Unit, Richard Harrison, told Parliament yesterday that numerous challenges affected the project, including disagreement with the contractor over the kitchen and issues with payment. Minister of Education Santia Bradshaw revealed that an audit has been ordered. During questioning by Minister of Energy and Water Resources Wilfred Abrams during the estimates debate, Harrison said work on the facility could possibly finish in 5 months.
My indication of a 4-month completion, if there were a expeditious agreement to proceed by contractor, assumes that, first of all, we're speaking of to finish the center itself. The car park is an addition which would take secondary importance to finish in the center, but certainly if all things were proceeding without delay, then you could have conceivably a 4 to 5 month execution to wrap up what has to be done.
Mr. Harrison, you indicated that there was a disagreement over the way the kitchen should be laid out and something about plumbing, but that this can easily be resolved. How long was this, when does this disagreement about the layout of the kitchen, the plumbing, first occur?
Certainly, as the ministers reminded me, this came before she was in office. But it's certainly, this too should not have been a protracted matter. And even at this point, based on the advice of the consultants, as originally given, this was a factor which came about, I believe, in the middle maybe of 2016.
A heated exchange in Parliament yesterday over the leadership in schools. It was between Prime Minister Mia Mottley and Chief Education Officer Kieran Best. Prime Minister Mottley was pressing on the issue of children being put out of school at the age of 16, saying they cannot be abandoned, and she asked what systems were in place to prevent them from being sacrificed due to ineffective school leadership in some instances.
The system that we have that would take care of...
Don't mind the system. I want to hear what you would like to see to change it.
But I'm getting there. I am getting there. The system that we have is one that we don't have any principals or teachers or anybody for that matter on contracts. You're there. So you're appointed.
You're on contract.
You are appointed, and therefore the only way you can get persons out of our system.
So the first thing is that you believe they should be appointed on contract.
I feel we should move to a system where we have persons being placed on contract. Because when you have a principal who is placed on contract, like in the other systems, then if you are not performing, then you then would have to move on. But our system is one where you cannot move them.
The Prime Minister is insisting on a system to reward and promote good leadership in schools.
And if they have not yet done it, I'd like them to do it. To be able to isolate managers of plant and human resources and finances from good overall leadership, because part of the difficulty is that we continue to believe that a good teacher becomes a good principal. And if I have one sad point in these estimates, it is that I am not yet in a position at this stage fiscally to support master teachers, and it must happen as soon as we are fiscally capable of doing so, because good teachers must be paid well for being good teachers without having to be promoted into leadership where they may be weak as managers.
A former head of the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry is all for the VAT on online transactions that became law last week. The rollout was delayed at least twice, a situation authorities blamed on technology. Eddie Abed tells Barbados Today that this will level the playing field between local and external retailers.
For long we have said that we had unfair competition from goods being imported from huge retailers, specifically in North America, whose buying power is much greater than ours, and these goods were coming into Barbados free of any excise tax or duties. And this absolutely makes it more even-handed, more equitable for those who are retailers in Barbados and wholesalers.
Okay.
So yes, I think it's a fair tax. I think now that everybody will be paying their share, and let's see how it works. I'm still not convinced that it may be as seamless as we think it is, but I'm prepared to give it, the requisite time before I cast judgment on it.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Over now to St. Lucia, where health authorities have issued a dengue alert amid reported deaths on the neighboring Martinique. This comes on the heels of advisories from the Pan American Health Organization and the Caribbean Public Health Agency. More from HDS News Force.
The last dengue epidemic was in 2013 with type 4. Type 3 dengue fever was last noted over a decade ago. But now with neighboring island Martinique recording cases in types 1 and 3, health officials worry that people born after 2009 may be susceptible to the disease.
We have quite a large population, anybody who's less than about 10 years or younger, who probably has never been exposed to type 3 before. And it is definitely a concern when persons who have not been exposed when a disease enters a country where persons haven't previously been exposed. Because usually it means those persons haven't developed antibodies, and it's quite possible that you may have a larger outbreak as a result of that, because you have more persons who are susceptible to the condition. So we need to be on guard.
Healthcare providers usually note a spike in dengue fever during the rainy season. However, due to deaths from the virus in neighboring Martinique, the health ministry is on high alert.
And in the U.S., California's top law enforcement official yesterday said an independent investigation by his office found no grounds to criminally charge 2 Sacramento policemen who shot an unarmed black man to death in his grandparents' backyard last year. The findings are in line with the county prosecutor's conclusion that the officers had legitimate reason to believe that 22-year-old Stephen Clark posed a lethal threat to them. Police say the officers mistook Clark's cell phone for a gun, a situation that has angered community activists. And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izubi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Carol Williams. Have a good day.